Hello, my name is John Teply, and this evening I have the pleasure to be talking with Laura Wilson. She's an artist who I first met. We were doing a project, it was called The Last Glacier, which she was part of a group that were creating a graphic story of sorts, and through that project, I knew her more as someone who was quite comfortable with metaphor and allegory. And as it turns out with her landscape paintings, it's a little different, where she's looking more to help us have a sense of the place and the complexities of place. And her paintings, kind of reveal that. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm doing really well. This is a bright spot for me, talking to you in a whole couple of weeks of really interesting and bright spots artistically. It's been quite a great adventure. I am fascinated. You talked about the metaphor and allegory because, the ocean, you and I both share that passion. And so I was thinking about the ocean as literal truth, but also as metaphor. What is underneath? What is, I'm really interested in landscapes about what do you see? What is underneath?
Well, but now I'm looking at the landscapes that you have there, and
okay, this one they're not mine. I admire these. The one of Haystack Rock, my uncle, my art teacher, made that. So these are inspirational, and I'm a happy buyer of those people I admire.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I saw your painting for Seventh Generation, and it was a beautiful piece in which you had a sense of the rocks actually that were more closer to you, and their complexity, and you were sure to get the bird in, which I think is amazing, because often landscape artists forget that it's a living system, and they forget to put animals and people in it, but you didn't.
I'm glad you liked that. I'm really glad you liked that, because it was just a continuation of a story for me about that part of the Oregon coast, that rock. And I want to go back there, of course, right? This is the commitment to paint there. And since I did that painting, there's been drama on the coast at Chapman Point and Ecola Park. People might know that park, the access road to the whale watching perch of Ecola Park, the road there is closed now. November 21, there was another landslide. There was one a couple years ago. And so, yeah, I do get to, and am interested in bearing witness to what is happening, what is going on. I don't think from where I stand, I can see that, but where I go to paint, it's going to control that for the next on location place I go there.
Sure. Well, tell me, when you're starting a painting, and you have your blank canvas in front of you, what are your first thoughts?
It's just pure opportunity. The idea of a blank page or blank canvas is telling me, like, I've already decided, do I want it horizontal or vertical? And so for the Seventh Generation, we know they're going to be horizontals. And so I've been ideating on, in this case, it's going to be very important. All the stuff is in my head, the color and the line. And I know line is going to be very important for this project, because we want to have the continuity from piece to piece, which is just an amazing idea. I'm just so delighted to be involved in that. And the part about color it's usually what's driving me anyway, is that I want to work with these colors. I'm so fascinated by, I've got just, the whole arrangement of how the line works, how the color works, is you got to try it a few times and then before you go in, and then just see what happens.
So could you talk about your relationship to color?
Yes, it's always there. It's what I see. I've found these kind of color ideas for this painting. I'm very interested in this cobalt blue, and it's a little dusty. And then of course, like red, and then the shades and grades in between. And whether you're under the water or above the water, I think these are, for me in this case, the shades I want to work with. I'm just fascinated by these, and sometimes I get into the working with the color and I want to put a kind of odd color in too, just something so that people or myself, it's just energizing, it's exciting, it's unexpected. So I come to the canvas, to the blank canvas with color as the primary kind of reason for being there and playing with it.
So you're more drawn towards color than say a brush mark?
Yes, but when you're putting that color down, you just get it out there. And so the brush mark happens. It happens. And, in the work that I admire, I sometimes am really attracted to very smooth lack of brush mark, to really almost clean like advertising, and some painters who can do that. And then, when you're out there in the elements and it's just, there could be dirt and sticks and insects in there, and the more the better. So it just, whatever happens. The line though is important in the composition. Because, I want the yellow to be like at the top. So we're feeling optimistic into the sunshine, whatever the light direction is. I prefer left to right, because I've heard that is, I just kind of like, for our human eye, that is comforting for people. I've heard that in psychology. And so I've been working with that. I think it's true for me.
So when you're approaching a painting, often you're working towards trying to bring the experience of things like air, wind, and the quality of the rock. How does painting express that kind of those kinds of qualities?
That's a really fun question, because on location, it's different every day. So I could have it planned out exactly like I want, but then the plans are out the windows. And so rock is like palette knife and sharp edges and a lot of energy, just like making it be, especially as it comes forward, more in focus. And then I've learned to work with the softness and the more diffuse things, probably because of my watercolor background. And I've sometimes approached acrylic, I forget, I get to paint over to make those edges, but I do tend to leave white space for things to preserve them. It's unnecessary, but it's a comfort, I suppose. So soft for the background, especially at the ocean where there's mist and kind of a salty, wet taste. I want to evoke, because I'm in the moment. I'm not even thinking by the time about other people. I'm just like, rocks come forward. The air is between us in some cases, or in the distance in others.
Well, what is your relation to intangible qualities of the landscape? It could be spiritual things, could be feelings.
I have probably, like most people involved in this project, and I know like you, a really deep kind of personal relationship with the sea. It's like I feel my whole life was on a raft on the sea, underneath it, above it, and grew up around that, and so had a great privilege there. But I almost have died in the ocean. I've discovered like a spirit animal I'm wearing as a little fish when I was swimming. I did a lot of distance swimming. I swam in open water. And this little animal presented herself to me, and I'm like, hey, that fish has a pointy nose like me, and it's all yellow. And then I walked.
So did it when you were swimming, did it literally present itself to you?
Yes, it did. At first I saw this flash of silver, which were these little mackerel fish. And I was like, oh, I was down so deep and I was coming up. And then the light was reflecting off of this silver thing. And I just got, kind of got shivers. And I'm like, okay, I better swim back. And then this little lone little, it turns out his name is Lao Willy Willy Nookie Nookie Oi Oi, this little fishy, was just poking around as I'm coming up. And I'm like, what a thing that just happened. I saw that. And then I'm walking back to where I'm staying. And then there's in the window at this little store is like, there's the fish. And so I asked the guy, what is this fish? And he said that name. And I'm like, wow, Lao Willy. That's the first 3 letters of my first name, the last 3 letters of my last name. And of course, Nookie Nookie, oi, oi, everybody, we're all like that. And so I've had it ever since. But anyway, that's like long story.
Well, actually, do you mind bringing that little fish up?
This is Lao. Can you see it? Okay. Lao Willy Willy Nookie Nookie.
Oh,
oi.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was just poking along in the rocks.
Jung said that if there's a synchronicity to pay attention.
Yes, and I very much thought how fortunate it was. And I kind of forget how magical so many parts of life and what that means about, as Jung says, the spirituality and the importance thing and how connected that we are. And back to the ocean, I know each of us have these really deep feelings about our planet, our life, and we want it to continue. And there's such a small, we're such little tiny fish poking around in a little bit of coral. And yet we can, if we work together, we can do something, like that school of fish. They swim, they turn in unison, they protect each other from the problems. They're reflecting the glorious light. Anyway, that's woo-woo out there, but this is what is on my mind. And I'm thinking about the figure lately, whether it's like an angelic or a fish-like figure. And I'm thinking I might for this one go under the waves of that place. So we'll see if I can hold my breath that long.
So. I fully encourage you to do that. That'd be amazing.
It'll be fun for me. And if not, I'll do a few things and we'll see which one or two.
I mean, no, so I've seen you working with metaphor and allegory and you do amazing work.
Well, thanks. It's just been so fun. You have provided so many great opportunities for me to be a part of an art community here in the area. And this sounds like a great show. This one, and of course they have been, it's such a privilege to be a part of a long ongoing thing. What a great piece of work that you've brought. I'm happy to help.
Well, what do you feel about 7 generations? I mean, an important part of the project is that we, we received this amazing world, and but it's ours to pass on, and
I wish I could be here to see all of it. I don't want to miss a thing. And I think that 7 generations, and the concept of that from the Iroquois Nation, it's just a tremendous wisdom for us to look at, what work we can make that will last for people. And it's not enough generations, but I'll keep going, and I'll be the sentinel of that place. But I can't even, I was trying to think back how 7 generations in my family, and trying to, I lose it about the 4th. I can't really even fathom.
And I actually lose it at 3.
Well, yeah. It all is, kind of like, well, they must have survived the plague, for me to be. So that's, so I'll just do my best, make some paintings.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a conversation about equity and intergenerational equity, and I think that's an important thought, because we won't be the last ones, I don't think anyways.
We borrow it from the future.
Well,
And, we all have a stake in this. If we look at the ones we love, and what would you do to care for your most precious youth? What would you do to say thank you to the people who brought us here, who survived all those things to bring us here?
yeah.
And there really isn't anything more important than that, than being mindful of the impact of our choices, trying to, everything really is about that, being grateful and then giving, to the next. We just forget. I think we just forget, John.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse. It's, things like this remind us. I think, in that conversation, the people before us, they did a lot of recycling too. I think that it's been in my generation that we've invented so many of the, throw away the water bottle or the plastic bags. And my parents didn't do stuff like, they didn't have that. They had milk brought to them at their house and then the milk bottles went back. I think this is a kind of a recent sort of like a prophet, somebody invented MBAs and next thing you know, everything has been commoditized. And so that's got a very short lifespan. I think I feel more optimistic than that for us for long haul.
So we're winding down here. Is there anything that we should talk about? Yeah, that you would like to talk about?
I think that the part about Ecola Park being compromised as a public access point, I emphasized it. Oh, it's not going to be difficult to see it. And on the other hand, I'd like to also say, maybe it's for the best. Things like that, they happen. And I did last year know that the people who were trying to put a preserve around Chapman Point had been successful to do that, but they didn't want to make it an official preserve because they wanted to keep it quiet and not attract people. So it is a very kind of quiet place and a good, safe harbor for nature.
Sure. Well, I've been talking with Laura Wilson, and if you would like to see some of her paintings, you can come to the Lincoln City Cultural Center. It will be there the week of July 12th through the 14th, I believe. And she does magnificent paintings. And if you're lucky, she will be there and she can talk to you about her work. I guess that's it. Thank you, Laura. It was a pleasure.
John. My pleasure. All mine. Thank you.
And we will be in touch soon.
Oh, good. Okay. See you.